All right, so I am in the the man cave. So I kind of got the man cave back a little bit. One reason why I decided to go back to them, and you're going to see kids stuff because the kids again, and you can't really see, but they have their little beanbag chairs back there. So they've kind of taken it over and all that. But anyway, that's not what this is about. But I did get the man cave back, kinda. The internet's better here. My computer, I don't know. One of my degrees is in computer science, and I don't understand why it's having an issue connecting to the internet. It will do it wirelessly, but then there's a problem. I've done everything. I've deleted drivers. I've done all different things other than taking it apart, and still it has a problem. If there's any issue with the internet, then this will disconnect from the internet, and most computers or most devices will find the Wi-Fi and automatically log on. Well, this one won't even pull up any list. If there's an interruption, it won't pull up any list of the nearby Wi-Fi spots, and it just, excuse me, has nothing. So it's like there's just something wrong with that. That's the one complaint I have. Other than that, the computer is boss. But it's that particular issue. You have to basically restart the computer. I've done every trick I know in the book. Nothing has fixed it. And it seems like it could be an issue with Lenovo. I don't know. But other than that, the computer is a beast. So I have to hardwire it to the and which is not far. The box is just right over there, but in the living room, and so it stays connected. So that's not an issue. But the Wi-Fi is kind of crappy. But that's not what this video is about. This video is actually an Ask HershNoeie, and I have a girl who's 21 years old, and she says she's 21 years old, and she wanted to know if she should start a YouTube channel. She has always wanted to have a YouTube channel since she was young, and she couldn't wait until she got old enough to do it. Now, with a lot of different debts and not being employed, she wants to know if now is a good time to create a YouTube channel. She asked me what would be some good topics. I don't have any idea as to what to do. I don't know how to engage people online, etc. What do you recommend? First off, good questions, and thank you for being a subscriber and for the question. I have actually had a few people ask this question before. Let me see if I can fix the lighting. Hold on. That's one of the things with vlogging. See, it's all dark over on this side. Whatever. So anyway, the big issue, and I've had people before ask me that same very question. I've had friends ask me that question. I have had strangers ask me that question. And YouTube, people look at it as a place where you're going to get wealthy. And the vast majority of people do not. The vast majority of people on YouTube either make nothing at all or they barely make something. And you can kind of tell by the size of the channel. When you start to get double-digit thousands, then that's when you start to probably make some money, right? Not saying that if you have under that, you don't. But in order for you to really see that it's worth it for most people, to where that's your sole job, you're going to have double-digit thousands. So I'm saying at least 35,000 or greater. That's when you can say, yep, okay, I'm definitely a YouTuber. When you're the size of my channel, you really don't make anything at all. It's actually, if you're looking at what I make just in general, if you were to compare it by the hour, this doesn't even come close, right? I know YouTube's picky about what they tell you, what they can, what you can talk about as far as money and stuff, but it's hardly anything. Now, with that said, there are some people who are YouTubers who make a tremendous amount of money. A lot of folks make a tremendous amount. Some of them are making thousands of dollars a month. Many of them are making hundreds, a few $100s a month. Some of them are making much more than that, right? You have some people who yearly salary is well over $1 million or more. You have people like PewDiePie who make gargantuan amounts of money. He makes more money than people in Hollywood. There are those people, but they're a rare unicorn, right? I will say this, typically, unless you're a news channel, and unless you have some sort of, unless you're controversial or using sex, the chances of becoming big on YouTube is very slim. Or a gamer. It's very, very slim. And when I say using sex, I mean even those who, and people may disagree, but people who even do the beauty haul things, because I mean you're basically talking. It's maybe that wouldn't be a good example of using sex, but the try-on hauls. If you notice, there are YouTubers who stick to the same thing, right? Because it makes money. If you, like, take for example, I remember a person who was on Instagram, and this person I don't think got much money on Instagram. I'm not going to mention the person. I don't know them, but I followed them, right? They didn't make a lot of money on Instagram, and they went on to YouTube. And at a time, this was last year, there was a time when our channel was bigger, right? We were bigger. And this person does videos in bikinis and twerk videos and stuff like that. And I said, Noelle's like, it's going to take no time for them to blow past us. And they're also very pretty, right? Or attractive, I should say. And a year later, they went from being smaller than us to having 829,000 subscribers. So when people say sex sells, right? Nothing wrong with that. When I talk about controversial, you have some people who are even small, kind of in the same realm that we are, but they're controversial. And they keep, and when I say the same realm, I'm talking from a few hundred up to maybe 15, 20,000. You have those folks who are doing fairly well. But it's not necessarily enough to sustain them, full time. But some of their topics are controversial. So they do very well. You can have a small subscriber base, but you could still have a lot of views on videos. And so you can make a lot of money with a small amount of subscribers. Likewise, you can have 30,000 subscribers and still make less than someone who has 5,000, for example. It depends on the content. It depends on the length of video, the type of video, all of that. Because the big difference is that most YouTubers, and I'm talking most, are truck stops, right? You have people who come by, watch a video, and they never subscribe, and then they move on, right? Most YouTubers are that way, most. And you have a few who are solely reliant on subscribers, and those are your very small channels because nobody really knows of them, or their video has not been popular enough to be out there. There's an algorithm. So you can search for things and their video, even though it's the tags are correct, is never going to come up because the video is not popular enough, right? Somewhere, somehow, if that video becomes popular enough, it links people to it. And so it moves further up. It's an algorithm, so it moves further up. As far as topics, they're going to be difficult. And that's one of the challenges a lot of YouTubers have, right? With our channel, we keep things a variety, right? We didn't want it to be just strictly a Blasian channel because I feel like there's nothing but Blasian channels out there. There used to not be. But I felt like that's kind of like been there, done that, right? We started off a little bit that way. We didn't want it to be just one channel and one dimensional because I feel like then you don't have anything to talk about. You then have to go and do different little antics in order to keep your channel going. So and some of those things will be controversial. But again, controversial stuff brings a lot of subscribers. If you want, and so I guess what I'm saying is, if you want to survive on YouTube, meaning that that's your sole job, you either have to do something controversial, be a gamer, which I don't know if you are or not, sex sells, as I mentioned, or beauty stuff. And again, those are kind of dicey. I know people who do makeup and beauty stuff, and they've been doing it for years and never made it. Their videos are put together good lighting, good camera, everything. And their channel just didn't take off. I don't know of one channel that doesn't show semi-nudity and that hasn't blown up because it just does, right? It does. Those channels who don't do those things, and nothing against, I'm not shading anybody, I'm just speaking facts. Those channels that do make it and they don't have to show stuff have done a hell of a job. I've mentioned some of those channels in the past. They've done a hell of a job, and they were able to do it. Now here's another thing. Channels can be big just through advertising. There are some people who, I know of a channel or two that wasn't that popular at all. And in order for them to be big, they put Facebook ads out. That literally got a lot of penetration all over the planet. So then you have people who are like, who is this? Click it, and you're more likely to capture people so you can grow very, very fast. Some people will be a part of these different little companies that kind of supposedly help sponsor you and all that type of stuff. Not interested. For us, we're not trying to survive on YouTube, because I look at it this way. YouTube didn't really exist 25 years ago, I don't think. And just as it didn't exist 25 years ago, it may not be here the next 5 years from now. You know what I mean? And if you base your income solely on, and that's just with anything, whether you're working at the CEO of a company, or if you're working at fast food, or you're working at a department store, if you own your own business, whether it's on YouTube, if you don't save up for the future, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And when it comes to something like YouTube, that's a possibility. I don't know, but it's a possibility. At any point in time, they can basically demonetize things and say, well, we're not going to pay you to do videos. We're just going to keep the ad revenue that we get and call it a day. They could easily do that at any point in time. There's nothing that says they have to do that. So with that, it makes it one of those very unsure things. It's a good gig if you can get it. But you do have to meet the bare minimum. Bare minimum means that you have to have at least 1,000 in order to make money. You have to have at least 1,000 subscribers, and the video has to, in order for it to start to generate money, it has to have several thousand views. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And you may have one video that gets 30,000 views, and you only have 1,000 subscribers, so you meet the bare minimum, but you're not making anything, because it looks at it in terms of you need to have a lot of viewership, a lot of people's eyes, the amount of time that they actually are watching. There's so many different things that are into it when it comes to YouTube. I'm no expert on that. And that's not really what your topic was, or your question was about. But do I think it's a good gig to have? Sure. Do I think it's something you should definitely do now with everything being kind of closed and there's a lot of unemployment? Sure. The problem is how to differentiate yourself. It's not like it was a few years ago. The folks that started years ago got a jump on everybody else because they were offering things that you couldn't hardly find. So you may look at some of these channels, and some of the channels I know of, and you're like, really? This channel's big? It's because they started before anyone else kind of did, and they had topics that were a nuance. People were like, whoa, I always wanted to know about this, but there was no place to find it. So people gravitated to it. Some of these channels back in the day, YouTube, even before they had it where you couldn't have videos that were longer than a few minutes, But back in the olden days, that YouTube was kind of new. And you had other competitors out there. So people were like, whatever. And folks were just subscribing to everybody. So to see a channel, let me subscribe. Channel, I'm going to subscribe. Didn't matter what it was. And so now you have so many different things out there that it is a very increasing market on a day-to-day basis. And to stand out from everybody else, it's going to be extremely hard to do if you're going to do things kind of vanilla like what we do. It's going to be very, very hard. And one of the reasons why, and I told Noelle this, I mean, we could sex up the channel. You know, I'm not saying I'm going to, go out there without a shirt on. That would lose people. And I'm not saying that, Noelle will be out there, but you can go around town and I can go to the coffee shops and the all those stands and just have a little camera set up, pay those people and be like, hey, can I set up a camera? They might say yeah, they may say no. But I could easily just start boosting the channel. That's not what I want to do. That's not the reason why we set up our channel. We set up our channel specifically for our kids to have something. I'll look back on videos of when they were growing up. They're still growing up, but when they were younger, and just see how different they are, how our life has changed. Looking back at videos of my mom, like you can't replace those things. So that's one of the reasons why is for our kids to see how life once was and what we were about. We can't do certain things. Like, Noelle can't walk around, and people may not want to see that either. She can't walk around with a thong on, and say, hey, I'm here to do whatever. Because we are active members in the community. One of the reasons why I don't cuss on here is because we're active members in the community. So for us, I can't do the silly, goofy prank stuff. We're active members in the community. And people say, well, what difference does that make? It makes a lot of difference because Noelle works for a university. I have a few people in the business community that I talk to on a regular basis. We have a business. I'm going in different directions with other ideas for businesses. I have been in conversations with, not trying to toot my own horn or any of that. I'm almost in weekly conversations, if not daily sometimes, with mayors from other countries even. You see what I'm saying? So I can't get on here and do crank yanker stuff and walk around with, a banana hammock and, Noelle walking around, prancing around with nothing on. Now, if we were stay-at-home parents, might be different. If we didn't have any of that other stuff, might be different. But we can't really do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the people doing the videos that they do. That's on them. But I just want you to know that when you do decide to do a YouTube channel, finding a topic is going to be the biggest issue. That's why a lot of YouTubers stick to the same general topics. We kind of do too. We have a variety of different things that we talk about, but a lot of those topics are still kind of similar in many different ways. And one of the reasons why I love doing the Ask HershNoeie is because a lot of times those are going to be different topics. People may not like the response, but it's my opinion, right? Or it's how I view things. You may disagree, and that's totally cool. But when it comes to this, YouTube is one of those, it can be very healthy. This person and here's the other thing too, I should say. Just because someone creates a channel that's built off sex sells, like I said, that doesn't mean that is going to last. Because YouTube has the right to demonetize, and you're on their platform, so they can demonetize, anybody they want to, for really any reason. So when you have a channel built in a certain manner, it may get demonetized at any point in time. So that's the other thing you have to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Excuse me. I just had a ginger ale, so it's going to be a little bubbly. That's the other thing you have to keep in mind. Some of these people don't make anything. So then they steer you to another site so that you can actually pay them, because it's not like it used to be. It used to be YouTube didn't say much. People would copy other people's videos literally and post it on there and get paid for someone else's work. I mean, I've seen a lot of that. They've cracked down on that. It used to be people could show a little bit of everything, and they've cracked down on that. Like they don't, it used to be that folks would have whatever, and they've cracked down on those things. So just because someone has a channel that blows up quick doesn't mean that they necessarily, and a lot of times people go on Social Blade or whatever and look at stuff, and you can, because it tells you kind of the stats of someone. But just because someone is showing up on Social Blade making a certain amount, that may not necessarily be true if their channel is super controversial, meaning if there's too much skin showing, that's what they could have made. But maybe not, because a lot of the videos are going to be demonetized. Sometimes topics are so controversial that a lot of the person's channel is demonetized, because it's just the way that YouTube sees it is some advertisers don't want themselves associated with certain content. So instead of doing a deep investigation and asking which advertisers care, they basically have a blanket, and this could be true or false, just the way it seems. They just have this blanket policy where if it's something that they don't really and truly feel is going to be supported by even their most, by a particular subscriber or a particular company that really and truly frowns on certain things, then that's the standard they hold everybody else to. So you may have 98% of the advertisers who can care less that you showing people walking around half naked. But it's that smaller percentage that may say we can't do that. So as a result, YouTube walks away from it. So anyhow, I hope that answers your question. As far as topics, it's going to be difficult. I can't answer that one for you. I know a lot of people who start channels and then they just kind of give up, because getting the momentum is hard. It's very, very hard. It takes years. We had a channel that sat for a long time, and we actually had a few subscribers. And we hear from some of those folks. I followed you from literally day one, not the time that we kind of became a little bit popular, but from day one, when we had like little small few second videos, and the fact that we had 10 subscribers for a long time, or whatever it was, 20 subscribers for years. And those people, when we didn't have nothing, our videos were 15 seconds long. And now we have 23-minute long videos and 30-minute long videos. But it shows you the progression. It took a while. And then being on Lily's channel, it was an interview. That actually led to a lot of people. Then there were some videos that we did that became viral, and that added to a ton of people. So we only had our one viral moment, We don't have a big channel. It's still tiny, very tiny. But we're thankful for what we have. It becomes a bit of a handful too, because I want to reply to everybody. People leave comments all the time. I want to reply to every comment, and it just becomes impossible. For a while I was doing that, but it becomes a full-time job. It becomes virtually impossible to reply to everybody. You will have issues with people who want to troll you or get under your skin. If you have thin skin, this is not the game for you. You have to have thick skin. Me, at this point, I'm so old, I can care less. I'm not that old, but I can care less what other people think. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know me. You don't really know much about me. You don't know what I've accomplished. You don't know what I've seen. You don't know any of that stuff, right? You just know what I kind of tell you. And once you view it as just words on a screen, that's someone saying to you, then it becomes pretty simple and pretty easy. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely, any other questions you have, send them to me in an email if they're, specific, and if I didn't touch those topics. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you join the Discord, which is going to be in the description box below. We talk about everything under the sun. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.